One-on-one, never lost. Went to the finals, never lost.
You never got there, Lamar.
Who?
You.
I've been a one-on-one champion. Never lost one-on-one.
All right.
Back at it again, Scott Smith. You know what time it is. It's time for the top 10 most intriguing games of East Texas. This is week 8, I believe. Yeah, week 8. We're going into the season. And before we talk about the 10 most intriguing games of tonight and Thursday and Friday night's games, we got to talk about the team of the week, who are nobody else other than the Kilgore Bulldogs. I picked Lindale to win. I thought Lindale was going to, pull something special off tonight. I don't know why that night, but man, did they ever prove me wrong. 64-29. They did it every single way possible. On offense, on defense, special teams, 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown, deep balls, and they stopped and they held Lindale, who has a very powerful running game, a powerful offensive line, and just depleted that whole unit, 64-29. This week, Kilgore takes on Henderson, which will be another shellacking, I believe, will be this week from the Bulldogs. But just a huge game, a lot of hype around the game. These two have played some classic games over the past year, and I thought, Quentin Thurman and the boys had enough over there in Lindale, but boy, was I ever so wrong. Great job from Kilgore this past week. So they are the team of the week. But before we talk about the top 10 most intriguing games, let's talk about the top 10 players and plays of last week in week 7. So at number 10, Brooks Gallagher, the linebacker from Tyler Legacy. Even though they lost 34-14, Brooks Gallagher was all over the place. 27 tackles, one of them for loss. In order to have a 27 tackle night, you got to, one, be on the field a bunch, which kind of the Legacy defense was, and number 2, you got to be a really good ball player. We played Legacy probably about 2 or 3, 4 weeks ago, and the game ended at halftime. But 10 is one of those guys. If you don't block him, he's making the tackle, and he made several tackles this past Friday against Rockwell Heath. At number 9, it's Jesse Radden against Carthage, 24-32 for 245 yards and 4 touchdowns. Really clean game, really efficient game throwing the football. Kind of figured Carthage out. If they think it's going to be a good game, they're going to come out and they're going to run the ball. If they know they can handle it, they are going to throw it and throw it around. And that's the reason why Surratt's been on here so many times, because they know they can handle these teams, and they are just doing it throughout the air and putting it on boards. At number 8, Mikael Lockett from Nacogdoches. Huge performance from him. 20 of 27, 293 yards and 4 touchdowns, and a 30-6 win over Hallsville. Was the offense, the passing game was exceptional, and it just wasn't Jalen Brown this week. He hit a multitude of targets. 4 touchdowns from this guy who has played, surprisingly, some sneaky, really good football against the teams, and could be an guy right there that's probably going to participate and be in the top 100 maybe later this year. At number 7, the second time making this list, is Julius Hawkins of Spring Hill, the fullback. He had 27 carries for 198 yards and 2 touchdowns, and a big 34-28 win in double overtime over Liberty Ilo. A big win for Spring Hill, still trying to fight to get in one of those 4 playoff spots over there in that district. It's going to be wide open in that district at the bottom half, especially if Spring Hill can go into they played at home, but if they can beat Liberty Ilo, that means they can beat a couple other teams in this district, and it'll be interesting to see where the Panthers lie at when it's playoff time. At number 6, Jaden Sanders of Kilgore, 2 catches, 126 yards and 2 touchdowns, a big 87-yard kickoff return on top of the work that he did on defense, and a big 64-29 win over Lindale. He's a big dude, 6'3", 6'4". He goes up and catches the ball really well, and he separates on his routes. He's a defensive back, but in Kilgore, you're going to play both ways. They play both ways all over the place. Towns plays both ways. PJ Wiley plays both ways, and Jaden Sanders is another guy that plays both ways. And Derek Williams has a multitude of targets to throw it to, and I like the way the Bulldogs are looking right now thus far in the season. At number 5, Jacal Baker from Brownsboro, 6 catches, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a big 34-28 win over Bullitt, keeping their playoff hopes alive. It's a tough district they play in. You know they're going to play Carthage. You know, kind of off the rip, that's an L. But you got the rest of these guys in their schedule that you can compete with. And when you got a TCU commit, you get them the ball and you get it to them often. And you just watch the fantastic things that Jakai Baker can do, leading his team to victory this past week. And number 4, Cameron Williams of Jefferson, beating up on White Oak like everyone else has this year. 13 carries, 278 yards, 277 yards, 5 touchdowns. Just did what he wants. 98-yard touchdown run that he had there towards the end of the game. Also had a really long touchdown, I think about 60 yards as well. Cameron Williams, one of the fastest guys in East Texas with the ball in his hands, and he's finally staying healthy and playing. This is the deepest I think he's played all year, all of his career, and so that's fantastic to see for Cameron. Hopefully we'll see him on the top 100 this year. At number 3, Ricky Stewart of Chapel Hill, 13 carries, 278 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a big 70-29 win over Jacksonville. Jacksonville has been hapless all year. They really hadn't had a win all year. They haven't been very good all year, and Chapel Hill is not the team you want to play ever, especially if they're that good. Chapel Hill just rolled through them. They ran the ball, a lot of rushing yards from a lot of people. James Cook, Demetrius Brisbane, and of course Ricky Stewart, the number 3 player. At number 2, Markeylin Batton from Atlanta, 17 carries, 155 yards and 2 touchdowns, 4 catches, 104 yards, and a big 40-37 win over Sabine. A closer, tougher game. That's why these two from Atlanta are number 1 and number 2 when we talk about Peyton Harrison and we talk about Markeylin Batton. Batton, 2 long stretch runs that he had, and then he puts it in the end zone a couple of times, and then he had some really great catches down the sideline, one-on-one, goes up and snags the ball in one-on-one, runs out of bounds, and then gets pushed out the second time. So really good football game there from Markeylin Batton, and then the quarterback does even better. 27 for 272 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he ran the ball 10 times for 42 yards. Big game. Big win for playoff planners. Everyone in this district is close. Jefferson, Tatum, Atlanta, and then you've got, of course, who Atlanta just beaten, Sabine. All 4 of those teams look like the top 4 tough teams. And then you've got Glaywater laying around, who's going to get somebody. There's no way that they're going to be winless when they get ready to play White Oak at the end of the year. They're going to get somebody. So this is an interesting district to watch, and Atlanta is one of those playmakers and players that are going to be a part of it when it's all said and done with. So those are your top 10 players. Let's get into the top 10 plays of the week. Starting out in Gilmer in a big shellacking to Pleasant Grove. Gilmer didn't see that coming, thought it was going to be a closer game. It's the running back, Jalen Purley, out of the backfield. Swings one, and then he gets down the sideline, and he's going to make one more miss and stiffy into the end zone touchdown. Hawks at number 9. At number 9 is Javon Towns. Javon Towns is coming up here big, a 76-yard kickoff return. It looks like they're going to do an onside kick and punching it a little bit too deep. Hot skip right here from the kicker. Gets right into Towns' hands, and Towns is one of the savviest and shiftiest players in East Texas. I know him firsthand. He is a bad little MF, and he is one of those guys. Might even see him on the top 100 because he's been sneakily making plays all year long. Javon Towns at number 9. And number 8, that's another kickoff return. We've had like 3 or 4 this past weekend too. But at number 8 is Jaden Sanders. This one from 87 yards. See him slowly get it, find a crease, break a tackle, break 2 tackles, 3 tackles, down the sideline, 4 tackles, Mr. Stiff on, he said, all the way down the sideline, turn up the whole cheerleading staff. So once again, it's Derek Williams this time. Open drive of the game, 80 yards down the sideline, the zone read, and nobody's catching him. Man, I thought the world of Demarion Van Zandt, but Derek Williams has the speed and he's a big time playmaker. He can do some great things for Kilgore down the stretch. At number 6, it's Ricky Stewart. This is a 57-yard touchdown run. He's blazing off the left side, and that dude is so fast that nobody in Jacksonville, Texas, can touch him. All the way down the sideline, gets pushed, tiptoes, and gets it inbounds. And number 5, it is number 4 from Lufkin. I forgot his freaking name. Anyway, catches this ball, makes a guy miss, makes a North Mesquite defender, 2 North Mesquite defenders miss. That's 4. That's 5. Oh my goodness. Oh, you never had a chance. Stiffy. 6 defenders missed. 7 in the punter. Oh, man. 7 North Mesquite Stallions get ran through for the touchdown there from Lufkin's punt return. And number 4 is Jalen Brown. Missed a one-hand catch in the end zone. And then he's got something for the DB. Had 2 hands in the air. Touchdown. And number 3 is Mason McMahon. He's throwing this one out to his shifty receiver, number 0, on the tunnel screen. And let's just get electric and fast. A big win for Mount Pleasant. I knew this was going to be a tough game. Didn't see Mount Pleasant win it. Tough game for the Mavericks to lose. Number 2 is Demetrius Brisbane. Cue the Mike Vick experience. Makes one guy miss. Look at this. Weaves through traffic. Boom, get in the end zone. Touchdown. Brisbane. And then number 1 is Jacal Baker from Brownsboro. What an incredible catch this is. Keeps his balance down the sideline. You, sir, you have never had a chance. You probably can't tackle a regular receiver, much less the TCU commit Jacal Baker all the way into the end zone. Touchdown, Brownsboro. So let's get into the top 10 most intriguing games of the week. At number 10, Legacy versus Horn. This is a big game because Legacy has got a chance to get their second win of the year and their second win in district against a team that Tyler High beat earlier this year. So I'm really excited for Legacy. I think they got a chance to win 2 games. If they can get 3, they might be a playoff team. And for a team that was hapless and winless at the beginning of the year, they figured it out. They Texas High pushed them late. They beat Mesquite. They lost to Heath, who was a really good team. And then if they can get Horn tonight, they look really good about trying to make the playoffs. So look out for Legacy tonight. And number 9, Gilmer versus Liberty I-Lo. Why is this a big game? District implications. Obviously, Liberty I-Lo coming off an overtime, double overtime loss to Spring Hill, but Gilmer is looking to bounce back. On top of that, they played 2 quarterbacks last week. So did Caden Tennyson get hurt? And if he is hurt, how's the backup going to do? They're going to have to lean on Will Henderson. They need a win desperately, especially after getting their butts kicked the way they got beat last week. So look out for those Buckeyes in the number 9 game of this week. And number 8, it's Texas High versus Marshall. Similar story to Gilmer. They lost a game that I didn't think that they would lose. I really thought they would handle Mount Pleasant, and they lost. And they lost kind of like, it wasn't close. I mean, it wasn't a blowout, but it wasn't really that close either. Texas High going in to Marshall to face the Marshall Mavericks. Marshall was going to do what they always do, try to speed up the game, take long possessions, get first downs. Texas High is explosive as all get out. David Potter played last week. He's back from injury. I think the Tigers win this one, and I think they win it pretty big. At number 7, Mount Pleasant versus Nacogdoches. You're talking about 2 teams here who match up really well because they're, I don't know who's the better of these 2 teams. I know they're explosive. Nacogdoches has been explosive on offense. Their offensive line, not the greatest, but their passing game, when Mikael Lockett to Jalen Brown, has been really good this year. So I like them. I like Nacogdoches right here. But they've also, disappointed at times too. Mount Pleasant is a physical bunch. They're athletic, and they've got some ballsy, gutsy type kids on their team and on their sideline. I really like Nac, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mount Pleasant goes in and gets it done. Huge playoff implications on this one. This will be a great game. And number 6 is Chapel Hill at Lindale. How does Lindale bounce back? Now, Chapel Hill to me is the best team in this district. I don't see them competing against Lindale. I don't see Lindale competing against Chapel Hill. If that's what they have for Kilgore, I don't think they got enough for Chapel Hill. Give me the Bulldogs in a big way in Lindale this week. Number 5, Carthage at Rusk. This will be another game probably for Jets Red. I think they'll come out and run the ball early, but I also think that this game is leaning towards Carthage in a big way. Rusk has dropped 2 games in a row. They got killed by Van. Then the week before they got killed by Center. The Rusk team is not as talented as I thought they were, and so expect a huge passing game out of Jets Red this week from Carthage. And number 4, Atlanta versus Jefferson, the most wide open district in East Texas. Atlanta and Jefferson, 2 extremely talented teams. The Bulldogs come off of a shellacking that they gave to White Oak. Atlanta just played a really close physical game against Sabine. I think Atlanta has a competitive edge. They're the guys that have played in the toughest game coming into the week, but that also could mean they're probably the most physically worn down. Jefferson could be fresher. Don't know who I'm rolling with here, but I'm super intrigued by this game at number 4. Number 3, McKinney North at Lufkin. Huge game, huge playoff implications on the line. Lufkin, beat North Mesquite last week. Got a win in the column. They're gonna have to beat some really tough football teams if they want to make the playoffs. And this starts this week again with McKinney North. They're coming down to Lufkin. They got a little healthy. TJ Hammond was playing quarterback. They lost him against Forney maybe 2 weeks ago. He came back, looked healthy. Kedron Young still, the Notre Dame committee, is still gonna be out there. So that's Kedron Young in that picture, not Peyton Harrison. Didn't quite switch that, but we're not going backwards now. And number 2, center at Van. Now this is a very interesting matchup. Center has been explosive on offense all year. They're coming off of a bye week. They're coming off a huge 76 performance that they had against Rusk, and now they get a chance to play Van. Now Van defensively, and for the last 3-4 years, have been very good defensively. They just shut out their last opponent. Really played a really good, clean football game. Explosive on offense. I like Van's defense, but I like Center's offense more. Give me the Rough Riders this week against Van at Van. And at number 1 is Pottsboro versus Winsboro. The battle of the boroughs as Pottsboro and Winsboro take off. 2 Northeast Texas teams. Probably don't hear much about them. Pottsboro is really not even in East Texas, in my opinion, because they're outside of Canton, but it is what it is. Both these teams were undefeated coming into this game last year. Pottsboro got the best of Winsboro at home. This time they go into Winsboro, and Kyler Finney and then Coach Finney, that has to be the number 1 game circled on their schedule all year long. I'm a huge Kyler Finney fan. Think he's one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in East Texas, and really rooting. Well, I'm really not rooting, but I'm rooting for him, if you know what I mean. So it should be a very, 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 very interesting week in football. Can't wait to see the results of these games and getting closer and closer to those playoffs. About a month left in the regular season. This has been fun. It's continuing to be fun. And in the words of Stephen A. Oh, now.